They promise fidelity, but they cheat. They promise support, but they criticize. Why does this complete failure of alignment feel like a psychological trap? This is the dark psychological paradox of weaponized inconsistency, a deliberate strategy to keep you permanently off balance.
You know that feeling, that confusion, that sense of walking on eggshells? It's not an accident. It's actually the whole point of a very sophisticated and honestly a deeply damaging control tactic. It's like they've built a maze for your mind, designed specifically to keep you questioning your own reality, constantly making excuses for them, and ultimately feeling completely trapped. So if you've ever felt like you're going crazy trying to make someone's beautiful words match up with their hurtful actions, then this is for you. We're going to give you the map to get out of that maze.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the paradox itself and define this whole thing as a calculated control tactic. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the three-stage mechanism that makes it work so well. After that, we'll dive into the psychology of the trap. You know, what makes them tick and what makes us vulnerable. And most importantly, we're going to talk solutions, how to actually break the cycle. We'll wrap it all up with the big takeaway: you're being confused by design. The goal here is to trade that fog of confusion for some serious clarity.
All right, let's jump right in. The very first thing you have to get your head around is that this isn't just someone who's a bit forgetful or flaky. I mean, we all know people who are bad at keeping promises, right? This is different. This isn't some accidental character flaw. It's the core feature of a manipulative strategy. It's not a bug in their system, it is their operating system.
So let's really look at this definition. The key word, the most important word on this slide, is systematic. This isn't a one-off mistake. It's a pattern. It's a constant, deliberately maintained contradiction between what they say and what they do. And the purpose? Well, it's pretty dark. It's to make you doubt your own reality. The whole point is to make you question what you see, what you hear, what you feel in your gut. That constant destabilization is what makes you vulnerable, and in the end, a lot easier to control.
And you see how all these things work together? It's like a well-oiled machine. This tactic is textbook psychological manipulation. It gaslights you by saying, my words are the truth and your perception of my actions is wrong. You're just being too sensitive. Of course, that completely destroys any sense of predictability in the relationship, which naturally leads to chronic anxiety. You're always on edge. And what's the end game? Coercive control and enforcing your dependency on them, not just for love, but for your very sense of what's real.
So how is this trap actually built? It's not magic, it's a process. And that brings us to the three-stage mechanism. There's a really clear, step-by-step formula at play here, and it cleverly uses the way our own brains are wired against us. So let's break down how this trap gets built piece by piece. Okay, this right here, this is the engine of the whole thing. It's a three-step loop. Stage one is the contradiction. The manipulator creates a huge gap. They say, I love and respect you, but then they insult you in front of your friends. Your brain immediately flags that, wait, those two things don't add up. And that leads to stage two, dissonance. This is where the pain really starts. It's called cognitive dissonance, and it's this feeling of intense mental stress because you're holding two completely opposite ideas in your head at once. This person says they love me, and this person's actions are really unloving. Our brains are hardwired to hate that feeling. So what happens? We move to stage three, reconciliation. Because that dissonance is so uncomfortable, your brain goes into overdrive trying to fix it. This is the trap. You start pouring all of your mental energy into trying to make it make sense.
So why is this so incredibly exhausting? It's because your brain is trying to solve a problem that was specifically designed to be unsolvable. The exhaustion you feel, that constant mental drain, that is the goal. You get so busy in your own head, running on this hamster wheel of rationalization, telling yourself things like, well, maybe they just had a bad day, or maybe I'm just reading into it too much, or the absolute most dangerous one. If I just try harder, if I'm just better, then their actions will finally match their words. You're so busy trying to solve their puzzle that you have no energy left to see the manipulation for what it is. It's a war of mental attrition, and you're the only one fighting.
Now, to really get why this trap is so powerful, we need to understand the psychology behind it. We have to look at the two conflicting motivations at play here. On one side, you've got what's driving the manipulator, and on the other, you've got the natural wiring of our own minds that they're so good at exploiting. When these two things collide, you get the perfect storm for manipulation. This slide just lays it out so clearly. Let's look at the manipulator on the left. Their goal is impunity. They want to do whatever they want with zero consequences. This gap between words and actions gives them plausible deniability. They can do something terrible and then say, "But I told you I loved you," using their words to try and cancel out their behavior. It keeps you confused and ensures their narcissistic supply, your attention, your emotional reactions, never runs out. Now look at the right side. These aren't weaknesses, by the way. This is just how humans are built. We have a deep need for things to make sense, for consistency. We have a biological drive to fix that painful feeling of cognitive dissonance. And so often, when someone we trust does something shocking, our go-to explanation is to blame ourselves.
And this is the truly cruel genius of the whole thing. The tactic hijacks your brain's own problem-solving software and turns it against you. Your mind is screaming, "Why does this person who says they love me keep hurting me?" And in the desperate search for an answer that will stop the pain, the easiest path is self-blame. You start to think, well, the problem can't be them, because that wouldn't make any sense. So the problem must be me. If I were just a little better, a little more understanding, surely their actions would line up with their words. It's a lie that gives you a false sense of control while digging you deeper and deeper into the trap.
Okay, so understanding the trap is one thing, but the most important part is learning how to dismantle it. And that brings us to the most practical part of our explainer: how to break the cycle. This is where we stop analyzing and start acting. It's about consciously stepping off that hamster wheel of rationalization and planting your feet firmly back in reality. This is about taking your power back.
All right, these 3 strategies right here, this is your toolkit for getting free. First, and honestly the most powerful, is the action-only policy. This is a radical mental shift. You have to make a conscious choice to treat their words, their promises, their apologies, as nothing more than noise. You become a scientist of their behavior. The only data you accept is the consistent pattern of their actions over time. Simple. Second, you have to identify the cognitive cost. This is about being mindful. When you feel that knot of confusion and anxiety creeping in, just pause and name it. Tell yourself, okay, this is cognitive dissonance. My brain is now wasting energy trying to solve a problem they created. Just recognizing how much it costs you makes you a lot less willing to pay the price. And finally, you enforce a 2-strike rule. This isn't for little things. This is for the big stuff: fidelity, respect, the core promises. The first time it happens, it's information. The second time it happens, it's a pattern. And you decide that that pattern is a non-negotiable deal breaker.
And it really all comes down to this. This is the heart of that actions-only policy. You have to ground yourself in what is real, what is observable. Words are cheap. Apologies can just be a tool to hit the reset button on the abuse cycle. But actions, especially a pattern of actions over time, that's the only thing that tells you the truth about who a person really is. Your reality, your safety, your sanity, it has to be built on the solid rock of their actions, not the shifting sand of their words.
We've covered a lot of ground: what this tactic is, how the trap is built, and how to get out of it. So now, as we head into our final section, I want to boil all of this down to the single most important idea. The one thing that, if you remember nothing else from this, will act as your shield. I really want you to let this sink in. That gap, that confusing, painful space between what they say and what they do, the place where you've been living and spending all your energy, that's not a problem they're trying to fix. That is the entire arena where they operate. It is their playground. They need that space so they can have it both ways. They get the praise for their pretty words, and they get to act however they want without any consequences. The confusion you feel isn't a side effect of their behavior. It's the intended outcome. So let's bring it all home. Weaponized inconsistency is a strategic tactic. It's a game plan, and it finally explains why their behavior never matches their words. The whole pattern works like a sinister loop. They create a contradiction that triggers painful cognitive dissonance inside you. And that pain forces you onto that hamster wheel of compulsive reconciliation, where you burn yourself out trying to solve their puzzle for them.
But here's the thing. Awareness is what breaks that loop. This is the moment you take your power back. The second you understand the game, you can choose to stop playing. When you refuse to try and reconcile the contradiction, when you go all in on that action-only policy and just accept their actions as the only truth, the game is over. You're no longer their prisoner inside their maze. You just walked out the exit.
And that brings us to the final, most powerful truth of all. That feeling of being lost, of questioning your own sanity, that constant mental fog, it was never about you. It was never a sign of your weakness or intelligence. It was simply the evidence of a strategy being used against you. You are not confused, you are being confused by design.